Guys, it's my third time recording because the better of the two videos that I just recorded was not having any sound for some reason. I don't know. So I'm going to roll the intro. I'm going to get straight into this.
I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Pull up, say what's the deal, bruh? See how I lose my cool any second if they don't hear us. Many people will fear us. Say when you look in the mirror, don't you compare us to anything, they get embarrassed. Ha, ha, woo. So many people be talking like they want the problems or something. I noticed that all of you polish and all of you people get punished. It's hard to keep food on your stomach, to all of the hustle keep running. That's hard to stay humble with nothing. We're off of the jungle, we're bugging. So let me come down all of a sudden. I told you that we keep it buzzing. Ha, woo. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out. Bounce. I ain't feeling nothing cause I'm numbed out.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Jacko. So you either know or you don't. Okay, I'm going to try and get through this as fast as possible because I'm tired and I need to wake up early. And I can't believe I fumbled that hard. Anyway, so I know we're all stoked about this Lucius stuff. I want to go through this point by point as fast as I possibly can. I want you guys out of here in at least like 10-15 minutes. It's not going to happen. I know it already. Anyway, so we all got this picture of Lucius, and the first thing I thought, I was like, bro, this guy is the horned deity. By the way, this is not scripted, so it might sound more enthusiastic because I'm not like tied to a script, of course, but also I'm going to be stumbling a whole lot, and I might flip back and forth from here and there because I'm scatterbrained like that. Anyway, so Lucius looks just like the horned deity, otherwise known as Cernunnos. The telling feature are the antlers. There are other things that go into this, though. However, I do want to go over the Cernunnos thing. So Cernunnos is a deity that's known to rule over the facets of life and death. He also controls the cycles of the seasons and all that good stuff, right? So what's interesting about Cernunnos is that he starts out as dual in nature, much like we see Julius and Lucius. And so he actually stems his power from his lover, who's a goddess, his lover, who also, to the other side of him, is his mother. Now, I know it sounds like it's like incestuous in nature, but I can guarantee you it's not meant to be that way. And I know you hear a lot of stories in mythology like that. However, it's important to understand and especially like if you read as much as I do on this stuff, you come to understand that they don't really mean it like that. It's that these things exist on such a higher level, it's very hard to comprehend, much less verbalize in a digestible way that we can understand. Because we can only observe what we can readily observe, which is ourselves and the things around us. So, while he is one being, he's also two. And the goddess is about the same as well. Now, what's interesting, though, is that Cernunnos, while given an array of other deities that he's named after, there's Zeus, there's Dispater, Mars, I believe Dionysus is one of them as well, Apollo. All of these beings are attributed to Cernunnos. Now, what does this sound like? If you're a veteran on this channel, you should already be where I'm at right now. Because who else is also attributed to many, many other deities? Beelzebub. So I might just skip into the Beelzebub stuff now. I don't want to like beat the Cernunnos thing into the ground. However, this Cernunnos thing goes all the way back to when Xenon became a devil. And I was going to make a video on it. I know I can say that till I'm blue in the face. However, there are some receipts that would prove what I'm about to say. But I ultimately decided not to make a video because there wasn't enough substantial evidence for me to feel comfortable putting it out into a video for you guys. And that's for the very reason that Tabata was going to make it fit here, and it does, and it fits so much better. So I think, I'm sorry, like I said, it's not scripted, so it's going to sound, I'm going to be stuttering and all that stuff, so whatever. But let's just go straight into Beelzebub. I'm sorry, you guys, my other video was so detailed and in-depth. I'm so pissed that it didn't go through. So while I kind of go through the tweets, I want to apologize for the lack of editing here. I have to wake up early, and a lot of my videos, unless I find an editor, if you guys can shoot me an editor, it'd be so phenomenal, because I'm going to be busy. I'm finishing up my degrees. I'm back in school with the students. We just had our first day today, and I'll be coaching starting like next week for preseason into the season. Like, it's going to be year round. So I apologize, but at least it's not a still picture like the old days. At least I'm doing this. Looks like a stream. Anyway, back to this. So I do want to say that he's taken up likelihood of all of his siblings in one way or another, but I do want to point out the more intrinsic relationship that he has with Xenon. Now, I do want to say, I think I can concede, and I think it fits better to say that at least Dante and Vonica are not, as I had originally depicted, as being part of Lucius himself. They could stand alone as their own characters. I do believe that. However, Xenon might be a slightly different case. As we see, Xenon is the only one who doesn't seem to remember his brother's face. And that's telling, because there are some documents that do suggest that when you are in a dream state or hallucinatory state, you can't see your own face. So it ends up being blurred out. Just like we see Xenon with Lucius. And that's important, because I think it's the power that Lucius has is the power that Beelzebub in the occult has. And there's a really big connection to Beelzebub. But let me explain what Beelzebub does in the occult. He's known as the Dark Father, and when the adept meets Beelzebub, what Beelzebub does is he brings the shadow self forward, and he discards the rest of that person. So now you've reached true individuation, and that's important. That's a very important word, because the symbol that Xenon has on his forehead when he becomes Xenonzebub is a symbol of individuation. It's called a mandala, and that means he's reached his absolute self. Now, it's also called Adamus Aether, which is the black diamond, which is exactly what you see. So now, with that said, we see Julius and Lucius interacting, and Lucius more or less flips a switch in their head where he brings himself to the forefront and kicks Julius out. Now, that's bringing the shadow self of Julius to the forefront, which is what Beelzebub does. So how does he do that? Now, we have to remember, if Xenon is connected, like let's say more or less a clone of Lucius, or an aspect of Lucius, that Lucius put out there himself while he became the shadow, what happens is Xenon sells his soul, which is in turn also Lucius's soul, to Beelzebub. Now, this is beneficial for Beelzebub, as we've detailed in other videos, because devils have a static power system. You're just born with the power that you have. You can't grow it, you can't lose it. So, with a soul, with a human soul, I should say, you gain the ability to evolve and grow your power, and potentially even gain a grimoire. But what happens is, now that we see Lucius is able to manipulate souls, congratulations to anyone who said soul magic, because we're right on point. Beelzebub is now vulnerable to Lucius in a different way than other devils would be. So what makes this different is that now Beelzebub can take the shadow, that other soul, because you have the soul that the body is attached to, and then you have the soul that's not at the forefront, right? That's your spirit. So he would bring that spirit or the soul of Xenon to the forefront, which is in turn his own soul, and take over Beelzebub, which would explain why he's able to get to and from the underworld without much of a hitch. But there he ends up sacrificing himself to himself in a way. And this is very Odin-like in nature, because that's exactly what Odin does to gain the power that he gains. Now, sorry, I just want to make sure I'm covering my bases here. So, we have the antlers, yes, belong to Beelzebub. Now, we got to go to... I want to get to the tweet so that you guys can see what I'm seeing, because I do detail it out here. So, we'll start with this. So, Lucius has very, very physical connections that suggests that he has very physical things that suggest that he's connected to Beelzebub in some way or another. Before we do that, enjoy the next 10 seconds. Really do. You guys are going to like this. And I need you to, I want you to comment your honest opinion on this next part right now.
It's heavy. Famous love. Yeah, I gotta keep it trendy on my soul. I'm the most selfish person that I know. Here we go, down the rabbit hole. Got a couple carrots around my neck. Self-respect, when you out of line, you put yourself in check.
Welcome back. I hope you guys like that. That was made by Screw, and it was actually, he did that within, like, just over 3 weeks on his phone. I'm not sure how old this guy is. I'm not sure exactly everything he's got going on, but to do that within that amount of time, and I feel like he might have felt rushed making it, and if that's the case, imagine what he can do not feeling rushed at all. So I'm going to leave his information in the comment section below. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. That's where I found him. I want to use him again, but I want to give him a break because I'm sure that took a lot out of him. And that was the first time he's ever done it. And what a fantastic job he did. So definitely props. But I wanted to do that. I've been looking for an animator for so long to kind of give you guys more of a treat on this channel for rocking with me. So I hope you guys liked it, but like I said, let me know your comment or your thoughts in the comment section below on that, and make sure you do follow him if you do like it. Anyway, back to this. So there are things that Lucius has that tells me that Beelzebub is very, very much alive and well somehow within Lucius. So I want to get to a better... Let's talk about the halos first. So the halos, you have two, which has not been seen before, I don't think. Two above the head, at least. So you have the two halos, one lower, one higher, and then the pole in between. And all of these have a place in this theory that I'm about to make. So the lower halo is a typical angelic halo, where angels reside above the earth and universe. Very simple. But then you have the pole in between the two that may represent the tree of life, and we'll get to that as we get to the third part of this. So now, the second higher halo depicts a halo that may indicate that it's an angel of a status that rules over other angels and the lower realm where Earth and the universe is. However, it sits below the highest point of this pole or rod. And if we think of that as the tree of life, this is the highest point, known as Keter, which is also known as Empyrean, the highest level of heaven. And I do want to point out again, I beat it to death, but I'll say it again, that in Empyrean, there is no magic. It is just the glory and will of God. So now, who rules just under Empyrean, but over the rest of the heavens and earth? And that's none other than Beelzebub. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, also Lucifer. However, from all the research that I've done, all the reading that I've done over time, and especially this Black Clover journey, I have my own kind of it's kind of a headcanon of real life lore, and this is how it goes. Just like you see on the Tree of Life and Death, that means God exists dual in nature. There's a light form and a dark form. Above Keter, you have the Ein Sephar, which is the god or demiurge that rules the universe, or more or less. And then you have the three negative veils below Samael. Now, Samael, a lot of people will initially tell you, yeah, that's Lucifer's true name. It's really not, but it kind of is. But it's Beelzebub who that refers to. So, what happens is, if God is able to exist in a dual nature, then why can't his creations? They all stem from him. And even us, we are dual in nature as well, at the very least. Depends on what philosophy you're part of, but mostly, even acknowledged in psychology, you are at least dual. So, when you think of angels, angels are like robots or sentinels. They are almost emotionless, and even though they do things that benefit humans, that's just their job. That's what they were literally made for. They will do nothing more and nothing less than that. They don't really have a mind of their own. Which explains why God might have been striving for something else to create. Because what we have that angels don't have is free will and the power to evolve over time, whereas angels are very static. They never move up, they don't move down, unless they do move down, and it's not really a fault of their own when they do. That's not what this video is about. Let me just get back on topic. But they're robots in nature. But who is not a robot? The one angel that had the gift to realize free will. Right? So God ends up smacking Lucifer so hard. And I'm just putting this as simply as I can. Smacks him so hard that the light side of him stays in heaven. However, the dark part of him descended into hell, and that's Beelzebub. So this is why Beelzebub has power over the shadow self in the occult, is because he is himself the shadow of the whole being that he used to be, which is Lucifer, which is why he has all the names like Lucifer, Satan, Beelzebub, all those seemingly one, which they kind of are, but they're not. Beelzebub is the dark part, Lucifer is the light part. Now, what makes it interesting is that Astaroth is the almost exact same. However, his gender changes, where the demonic form of Astaroth or Astarte is Astaroth, and then any other form, the higher form, is female. And what I'm thinking here is that we have this mixture of occult practice with Judaism and some Christianity sprinkled in there as well. And what ends up happening is that before an adept even meets Beelzebub, they meet Astaroth. And Astaroth's responsibility is to bifurcate the soul before they meet the Dark Mother and the Dark Father for rebirth, for their death and rebirth. So it's more than a coincidence that Astaroth's duty is to bifurcate these souls. And we see that Julius and Lucius are bifurcated souls. So it goes back to the whole Cernunnos drawing his power from his mother and his lover. Now, the thing about Astarte and Inanna and Ishtar, all equivalent, just different names over different civilizations throughout time, is that Inanna, Astarte were never thrown into the underworld, as Astaroth suggests in the Grand Grimoire or any other depiction of him in the underworld. He says he was unjustly punished. However, he or she willingly descended into hell in an effort to realize. It was more of a spiritual journey for Astarte. We can say that. So, as she descends, she ends up meeting her sister, and her sister is the goddess of death, who is named Anat. Now, I made a small thread on this, where I do equate Megicula to possibly being that sister, the goddess of death, which makes sense. She has the power that decays anything it touches rapidly. So if that's the goddess of death, then Astarte being the goddess of fertility, life, beauty, and all that good stuff, it makes sense as to why she would be dual in nature and exist in two places at once, as these other beings do as well. Now, remember that Astarte is known and equated to the morning star of Venus, while Beelzebub is the evening star, right? Now, you can see the obvious implications to Lucifer, where Lucifer is known as the morning star. However, Jesus is known as the evening star. So it's this very intricate, overlapping, almost infinite just relationship that they have. So I think what we've been seeing since they followed Astaroth, what happened was, of course, they had two souls birth into a body, then meeting Beelzebub and Megicula, probably, of course, was able to come out as we see now. But let's get back to some of the other telling features. So we went over the horns that he shares with Xenon that he got from Beelzebub, the halos, the regular angel halo, the halo that rules over angels in the world, and Empyrean, the highest heaven up there, that resides above that halo. Then I want you guys to look. I put it in a separate post here. So I wanted it side by side so you guys could see. So behind him, the circle that is behind him looks almost identical to Xenon's spatial magic portal that he uses, which of course is connected to Beelzebub. Now, attached to that circle are 6 wings. 6 wings indicates that he has likeness to Seraphim, which are the highest order of angels, which Beelzebub was the prince of. So this is very, 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 very important, because Lucius could have a very intimate connection with Beelzebub, as we've been theorizing on this channel for a long time. Now, the last part of this I want to get into is that Cernunnos, as well as Beelzebub, well, I'll say it like this. Cernunnos is equated to the Antichrist in the most modern takes of Cernunnos. And the reason why this is important is, of course, because we made the video talking about Lucius being the Antichrist. However, Beelzebub is known as the Dark Father, and you may have not asked yourself this question, because I didn't at first. It was like, okay, he's just known as the Dark Father. Well, who's the father of? He's the father of the Antichrist. Okay, so I want to pull up the tree of death, and this is the tree of life over here. So the Dark Mother is here, and on Crowley's clipart, he replaces Lucifugio Focal with Aishat Zenonim, who is the Elder Lilith. And then across from her, in the Agael, is Beelzebub, or the Dark Father. On Crowley's clipart, he is named Samael. So they come together. This is why they're connected. And when they come together, see, these are 2 extreme sides. This is the severity, while this is God's mercy. Well, that's what it would be on the Tree of Life. And then down the middle on both is equilibrium. So the thing that balances these two out, what they breed, is Tegerian, which, as I've said, is the Antichrist, which is the symbol of the black sun. So that's why we have this little triad here. So what I'm thinking is that Megicula could be somewhat related to Lucius, if not maybe lovers, maybe that's his mother, possibly, while Astaroth could be Julius's mom or father, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. It's just so complicated, you guys. But they come together, make the Antichrist, and that's Cernunnos, and again, it's a black sun. Now, the thing about the Antichrist, as I said in that video, was that they're going to mimic what Christ actually does. So as I say here, the Antichrist will travel the world performing miracles. Now, these miracles may look legit, and they may very well be. And it's not the fact that these miracles may be fake in nature or evil. They could be really good. He could really probably cure a blind man and give him the ability of sight again. However, it's for the benefit of evil later on. Because if you can get people to trust you, you can manipulate them easier. Now, let's paint the picture of what's happening with Asta right now. Right now, they are fighting a fight in broad daylight. That's going to be probably a large-scale fight as it keeps going, if it keeps going. So now you're probably thinking, well, how is Lucius going to maintain his image as Julius after this is over? So think about it. Asta was just acquitted of all the crimes that he did not really commit, or he was just associated with the devil. And Fuegoleon makes a point to state that there are still people that don't fully trust Asta and don't think that he should have got off as easy as he did because of his connection to his devil. So now we have Lucius in play. And people may be questioning where Julius is. However, what is Julius that Lucius is not? Julius is a devil sympathizer in the eyes of the monarchists within the Black Clover Kingdom. He is the one who allowed Asta to survive and just be exiled, as well as Sekre. While Lucius now, reaching this form that looks so angelic, I will go on record and say, I don't think these are angels, you guys. I think these are false angels to gain the trust of the masses and all that good stuff. So, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. But, so, what happens is Lucius could really kill Asta, and even though Asta was just granted the, what's he now? Grand Magic Knight? He could give the reason that he killed Julius and he killed Asta because Asta was a devil, in that Julius was a devil sympathizer, and now he can show this really angelic looking form that he can bestow on other people as well and come out to be a greater person from the outside, at least, for people to want to follow. And it could very well happen like that. So he's mimicking what miracles would look like. Now, it's important to know that while he looks like an angel, he's not performed the miraculous feats that Asta has been able to do with anti-magic. Now, remember, earlier in the series, he literally saves Patri from his own shadow self. From the darkest part of himself, he helped him out of that and helped him realize himself again. The light. That's the Lucifer. That's the light bringer. And then he also returns all the souls where they need to go. What he is doing is restoring the natural order of things. Magic comes from an esoteric place. It's not a natural place. So when he cancels it out, he is creating equilibrium again. Because those things don't naturally exist. So I do maintain that at least Liebe is Lucifer himself. But there's a bit more. Because Lucius could play with the shadows of people, like I was saying earlier. And as this thumbnail kind of depicts, I think if he ends up making contact with Asta, that he'll end up pushing Asta's soul back. However, let's backtrack just a bit. I think he is doing all of this because, yes, he needs Asta gone. However, he doesn't need Liebe gone. He might actually want Liebe because he should recognize that could be Lucifer. That could be the case. Who knows? I could be very wrong. However, let's just go over it really quick. So, if he goes into True Devil Union, what happens? He's got two souls inside of one body acting in tandem. And if he can pull the shadow of Asta to the forefront, then Liu Bei's in control and Asta is out, just like he pushed Julius out. And that could give us a whole underworld arc or otherworld arc, wherever he goes. But Asta would no longer be there. Now, I do want to point out that a darker Asta could just naturally exist within him, just because when he goes into Devil Union, he gains black hair. And I do want to point out that almost all the characters that we've had with jet black hair have had some weird thing going on with them. If it's not their magic, it's like Lucius here, who was just a shadow of Lucius. And then we have the devil host, Zogratis family as a whole, the Fausts, all black hair. So, I mean, I think there's a thing with the hair, but let's not make it a Dragon Ball Z thing, okay? So, anyway, he's going to push Asta's soul completely out, I believe. And then it'll just be Liu Bei. Now, what's the point of this? Because then people might want to say, like, oh, he's going to eat the anti-magic heart, he's going to have anti-magic, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's going to happen. It's counterproductive if he eats the heart of anti-magic. He went through all the trouble to gain all the power that he has just to eat the heart of anti-magic, and what that would do is disrupt everything he worked for, and he would only have that, and he'd be able to purify that. However, I think what he could do is purify Liu Bei himself. Now, while this wouldn't give him a core to feast on, what this does is bring about Liu Bei's higher form. And this could reveal that Liu Bei was the dead twin that did not survive the elf massacre. And yes, I still maintain that Liu Bei is that child. And that can go a multitude of directions from there. But I do want to make it a point to say that purifying anti-magic would give us something like Licht had, which would make sense. Because as everyone kind of hopped on my ass for at many times during his Black Clover career, is that Licht never had light magic. And yes, it looks like light. I will never not say that it doesn't look like a light, because it does. However, it's not labeled as light. And what that means, as far as, you know, looking at it from the source points that Tabata comes from like the Tree of Life, is that there's Keter that receives the direct power from God, the most natural source of power that the physical realm can get, is inside of Keter. And then it gets kind of watered down as it gets further down the tree. And then I assume that's what we call magic now. So he would have that. And I maintain that. I've said that 2 years ago. And I think we'll see it soon. But I think that's kind of... I don't want to make this longer than it is, you guys. I'm so sorry. Like I said, I'm so tired. And as you guys see, it's 1:07 a.m. I've got to be up like soon. So I just want to go through this, make sure I'm not missing anything. Cernunnos, Antichrist, Beelzebub, the Dark Father of the Antichrist, possibly even connected directly to Lucius. What else? Oh, this was so cool to me. Because, like, how close Dante seems to have gotten to purifying that power himself is pretty amazing. However, you could attribute some of it to Morris tampering with his body a bit, but I'm not sure. We got to see. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Triad is involved in this. But yeah, to me, this just looks like what it is. That's what it looks like. You know, Beelzebub's spatial magic circle right here, the 6 wings indicating that he's a Seraphim, the antlers coming directly from Beelzebub when Xenon becomes a devil, the 2 halos depicting that he's the highest angel, but just below Empyrean. Says a lot. And I think ultimately this could prove, especially if these are false angels that he's making and that he is, this could lead a pathway to Asta being the one chosen to be an angel. Because remember, we made the Metatron video. Go watch that if you haven't. Because I'm telling you, it could happen. If these are fake angels that Lucius is making, then Asta could be the one human that God picks himself and says, you become my best angel. And that's a Metatron. And that would be so cool to me. But anyway, I want to leave it there. I want to go to bed. I want to get this out to you guys as fast as I could. I'm going to be going live on Friday, if not both Friday and Sunday, at least one of those days. And we'll kind of go over the chapter and answer any questions that you guys might have. Other than that, here's another 10 seconds of that video.
It's heavy. Famous love. Yeah, I gotta keep it trendy on my soul. I'm the most selfish person that I know. Here we go, down the rabbit hole. Got a couple carrots around my neck. Self-respect, when you out of line, you put yourself in check.
And this has been Jack Oates the GOAT. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. You guys either know or you don't. This better have recorded, I'm telling you.
I keep my circle smaller than a Cheerio, cause this the company you keep. Stay woke, please don't get caught sleep. End up sowing what you reap. Know your worth and don't sell cheap. The ghost is inside of me, can't take it out of me. No matter where